22 weeks, 154 days, 5.5 months, chasing the one-arm pull-up. And now, after all that time, chasing that one goal, it has to stop. And here's why. Now, if you've been along for the whole ride, you know that way back when I first got this thing going, when I took that California trip, I ended up pulling a scalp. That was really the start of the whole training process. I managed to rehab that scalp pill all the way along while then running the Russian training method. I went into that in order to build a base level of strength for the two-arm weighted pull-up, which is a fundamental prerequisite of accomplishing the one-arm pull-up. After running that successfully and having what I felt was quite a good outcome with that, it eventually plateaued out, at which point I fiddled around with trying some other things and dropping down to running like doubles and trying to build it that way. It was not exactly great. I then went to switching things up because hit a plateau, and in all reality, I was starting to have some aches and pains with the shoulders. I did kind of like an active rest week where I went and I was doing water sports, things of that nature with the family. My level of water sports, probably a little bit more than actually active rest, seeing that there was like kneeboarding, tubing, and water skiing involved, crazy jet skiing. Probably not exactly the most rest of rests. I then ended up having another group of family come in, and I took it as a more leisurely week of rest after a brief attempt at coming back again, and I was just struggling with shoulder pain. It was getting to a level where the rear delts were actually just sore to the touch. So I reevaluated everything, and what was the most logical thing to do? To make a plan using Google Gemini's deep research. The plan came out phenomenal. I was extremely impressed with the plan. I then, in some type of possibly overzealous, maybe a little bit delusional way, thought that, hey, I'm going to be able to run this thing. And when I prompted this plan, which I made a video about it, I'll stick the video up over here where it goes into the whole process of how I like prompted the whole thing and got the great output that I got. I mean, it laid out phenomenal. I wish I would have had this earlier. I'm going to put it that way. So I thought I had something here. I went and had it target the program for 90 days. I went after this 90-day start, which probably for a person who's already got shoulder issues was not a good idea. The two workouts that I'm going to go into here were phenomenal. They were rock solid workouts. I wish I would have gone straight from the Russian training method straight to this. However, can't roll back time, can't change it. So we can only move forward. So let's go. All right, guys, so the way I wanted to do this so I don't bore you to death is I'm running this whole thing at fast pace. I think it's like 6 times speed, and it is going to flip-flop back and forth between the two workouts combined. You'll be able to tell which one is which because I'll be wearing different clothing in them. But anyways, as you can see, I'm going in hard now on a good warm-up with a whole lot of the shoulder exercises. And in the beginning of this workout, it calls for 3 sets of 5 reps with 70 pounds. So it's higher rep range, which is good because this is truly to just build foundation initially is how it's supposed to work. Then it goes into 3 sets of 5 banded pulls, which is something that is a little bit different for me. I'm going to hit pause here for a second. Because if you remember before, I was not doing high reps with these. I was always doing like singles to maybe triples, and I would do them alternating. So it was almost like 3 singles combined together. So this was different for me, but I
felt like this was definitely good as far as getting reps in this exercise. Now, if my shoulder was not so messed up, I do believe going straight from that Russian training method right to this method would have been ideal. However, I can't really do much about that. So let's continue on here. So, as you see, I was repping away, decent little reps. Then after that, it calls for 3 sets of negatives. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was absolutely toast by the time those higher reps that I was not used to because of how I'd been doing the lower reps for this whole like most recent run here I was toast. So there was like nothing left on those negatives. So it was really just like slow delayed fall, like how I was getting when I was doing just like one negative, rest break, one negative, and it was following all those doubles and singles types workouts. This, after just 6 sets, 3 of those weighted, and then 3 of those single arms with the 5 reps, holy cow. There was like nothing left on those negatives. It was at this point, I'm really just kind of like surviving through this workout because this, even though the sets were less, because of the higher rep range, this workout was taxing. I was not thinking it was going to be this rough because less sets, but this was less sets that were equaling money. A whole lot of scalp pulls. Got to get this scalp back together. So it had 3 sets of 8 reps on the scalp pulls. Those were great. Then I went into active hangs. The active hangs were, well, not much left. I gotta tell you. I was really just trying to make it through there at the end. And then because I'm trying to get something going back with this shoulder, I went back to doing some more rehabbing and just a whole lot of band work on the shoulder. And after the end of these two, there's just really no getting this shoulder back right. So I go from here to more of the tricep press downs for just elbow health, but the elbows are feeling great. I'm not gonna lie, the elbows, no problems right now, groovy. But the shoulders, and a lot of those shoulders exercises I received from a nephew-in-law of mine who is a PT. So he gave me a bunch of the different shoulder exercises to do. So I was working those in. However, now I'm going to go into a little bit more of a deep dive with Gemini in the upcoming week here, and we're going to figure out what exactly I'm going to do here moving forward on how I'm going to rehab this thing and when I'm going to be able to get back to the actual full-fledged getting after it. So that's where we're at with this thing.